Okay, everybody. Time for a town hall, just a quick 30-minute meeting. If you want to take a seat there, and I think some are heading out and some are going to stay. So if you want to grab a seat, welcome. Thanks for staying behind. We just want to take a few minutes. It's very important for us to be transparent at Gracepoint, including our financials, which of course they are, and you can have a copy of those statements anytime you want, but we'll have a quick update today. We'll talk a little bit about the LT. Rick is going to preach again for half an hour, so that'll be fun. And there's a little too much laughter there, I don't know. But I just wanted to kick us off here with just a few comments from me. I'm the chairperson for the leadership team, and it's a highly paid position, so I'm thankful for that. So, Eternal benefits. There you go. Yeah, storing up treasures. So we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers. We have cards available for you. If you're terrified to come up here and say something, that's fine. We have cards. So put your hand up and we'll get you a card and you can write that down. Just deliver it to me here quickly. I just want to introduce whoever's here with our leadership team. When I call your name, if you would stand. I think some of us are away, but if you are here, Doug Stewart, Sandeep Sawhney, Stephanie Dick. Some of us are away, yes. Stefan Luking, Arlene Friesen. Okay, Judy Marshall? No? Tim Dubroff, I know he's in Calgary. Kaylee Hoffman. Stephanie Wall, all right, Kaylee's here. Give him a hand, give him a hand. And then there's me. That's our leadership team. And I know people have busy schedules, but I just wanted to make sure you know who they are. These are people of deep faith. And there's a fairly stringent interview process that we go through to bring on new leadership team members. And so we're thankful for them. And you might wonder what we do. So just very quickly, I feel that we have a five-fold ministry as far as the leadership team is concerned. The first one is prayer. And you see us over here once a month. We're on for prayer. And but we also pray for you during our monthly meetings, personal, corporate, and individual prayer. And I would say, if you would like prayer for anything and to be anointed with oil and have the leadership team pray for you, come and see me. We'll schedule that. Mm-hmm. We can meet here at the church or at your home even and do that. The second thing is staff support. The staff deal with a ton of issues from day to day. And it's very important for us to support our staff. So each of us on the LT have a staff member that we liaise with, and we meet with them regularly and pray for them and encourage them. There's a lot of encouragement needed in ministry today. Sometimes you're dealing with the members of the public, like you saw this morning, just a quick note from someone who's not happy there. So supporting our staff. The third one is business advice and support. And I was going to mention what all the LT members do for a living, but I won't get into that. But there are a wide array of people with different skills, and they contribute. We look at the financials and we make suggestions. We don't run the church as far as leadership team goes. We are in an advisory capacity, and we question things, and we suggest things and monitor things. So that's more of our role. The fourth thing is a people lookout. We're always looking for people that are new, who we want to have brought into a culture of welcome and connection with them. That's very important. That's why we're here, is to bring people in. And so we're always on the lookout. And the last thing is service help. Whatever needs to be done, if somebody forgot this or that for a service hosting, whatever it is we can help with, we're always available. So that's our ministry as far as leadership team is concerned. No applause needed. So Stefan Luking is our treasurer. He's been with us for 6 years?
This is his sixth and final year on the
goodness.
LT. Yep.
So the leadership team has a 3-year term, and then you can renew for another 3 years. So Stefan has really been a great addition to that team, a very important one. And we have Mark Tews, who has let his name stand to be nominated for treasurer. So we're thankful
Maybe, Mark,
for that.
do you want to just stand? You would have, those of you who received the Gracepoint emails, you would have seen Mark's picture there. And yeah, so as part of our Constitution, we, we publicize the name and a brief bio for 3 weeks, I believe it is.
Yeah, you can see that on the app, right? It is on the church app.
Yes, I think it's also under.
You can see his picture and read about his 4 kids and his wife Candace and all the good stuff that he does. He's a CPA, by the way, so he's a smart dude. I'm looking forward to working with you. A couple of final things here. We always are studying a book in the LT. We just finished a book called Future Church about where the church is going. We're working through one now called Managing Anxiety. There's a tremendous amount of anxiety in the world. Whew, off the charts. So we have a lot of anxiety in life, and we're reading about how to deal with that, and it's been really excellent. We've had the staff, one by one, come to our meetings and share a bit of their testimony. We pray for them and encourage them. That's been really great as well. And then we are, as I say, once a month up here for prayer. So I think that's about all from me. You don't want to hear me preach all day, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Rick, and
okay.
you can let her fly.
Thank you, Lyndon. And I appreciated the LT having the staff come through once a month and to pray and support our staff. I think I can't remember who in LT suggested that, but it was a great thing to do this last year. I pulled out some numbers. Those of you who are numbers people, our last 10 Sundays, our average attendance has been 257 with about 200 adults. Our lowest being the February long weekend, 148. The highest being last Sunday, Easter Sunday, 344 people. So in our last quarter, our attendance has averaged around 250. When I went back to look a year ago, our average attendance was 200 people in the first quarter. And so we currently have 10 active discipleship groups plus 4 active core groups, and 118 people are involved in those groups. I talked this morning about a funnel-in strategy, and that we'll continually assimilate and connect new people that come through our doors. And I'm thankful for the new people that God continually sends our way. And some of you are new to Gracepoint Church, and so rather than think of it as a connection pathway, it's more like a connection points. Because a pathway, in a sense, doesn't work anymore because we might think, well, okay, you're new to Gracepoint. The first step you do is go identify yourself at the Welcome Center. Well, some people will never do that, right? They will attend here for 5 years and not, give their info out at the Welcome Center. And so rather than think of it as a pathway, think of it as points. Some people will go and, identify themselves as at the Welcome Center. Other people will immediately sign up for a discipleship group. We've had people who their first Sunday here, they've given financially, which to me is kind of a little unusual, right? I'd want to kind of know about an organization. Do I trust them? All of that kind of thing before giving. But again, different people. So it's more connection points. And so we have the various connection points. Church on the 5th, which I talked about this morning. Our affinity groups. You saw some pictures there. Our discipleship groups that happen. Our core groups. We have a newcomers meet and greet that we do every quarter. So every 3 months we'll have down in Studio A a meet and greet, and we will, invite newcomers to that. Then we're getting rid of the newcomers lunch that Sheila and I used to do, and we're replacing that with the Next Steps lunch or a Next Steps dinner. So this idea that people who have said Gracepoint's their church home, in that they've maybe given their information, or they've come to church on the 5th, come to the meet and greet, in some way, then we'll have a Next Steps meeting with them to determine, what's the next step for you? What could it look like to serve in a ministry at Gracepoint? Or do you need to discover your spiritual gifts? Or, how can we connect you into a discipleship group or into core group? How can we come alongside you that you connect at Gracepoint and ultimately connect with God? So that's a little bit of the funnel in. And so, like I said, Church on the 5th has been a big change this last year, and I think the first couple of them have been pretty good.
It's been unbelievable. I didn't know that Kaylee was such a preacher.
Okay.
And your daughter, Katrin, too. Man, it's been a great experience, hasn't it, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really
so we'll,
that.
again, be doing that. Yeah. And our acronym around that is RIPE. The R stands for relationship. Again, we're trying to connect people relationally. The I stands for intergenerational, connect people intergenerationally. P stands for participatory, because in Church on the 5th, it's more participatory. Again, you can do that in a clubhouse setting than we couldn't necessarily do here amongst hundreds of people. And then the E stands for equipping. That again, we have other people like Kaylee and Katrin who are leading in the Delta location, and other leaders who lead, and we will continue to find new leaders. In fact, this next one on April 30th, our prayer team is again going to be multiplied out throughout the 6 settings. And I said to Gord this week, I want more prayer people. Again, if prayer is going to be our core value, then we've got to be able to have people to pray, and we can't say, we don't have anybody at the Langley location to pray. It's like, what? Yeah, that's got to be happening. And so, so that's the RIPE acronym there. So that's a little bit about the funnel in and connecting people, moving people along in terms of connection points. In terms of funnel out, that strategy, that's a more slow burn. For that to happen. That's even new to the church in North America. It's happening around the world, like I said this morning, in terms of, people going out. Even the missionary who has spoken here, who came from India to Abbotsford here to work as a missionary. And I remember some of you saying to me afterwards, that's kind of strange. I'm used to Canada sending missionaries to India or wherever, and suddenly we have Arun and his family coming from India to here. And he's found a little bit of a culture shock too in terms of, okay, some of the things I did in India, how do I replicate and do that here in the Lower Mainland? So like I said, it's a little bit more of a slow burn, but to have a first generation multiplying group means that we need to form groups of which at least 50% are not yet Christian, for them to be able to multiply onto subsequent generations. And so we started with 2 groups, then 1 stopped. We still have one of those core groups, calling a discovery group, that is continuing on, and hopefully we'll be adding more discovery groups. If you have, in your network, your connection, some friendships that you would be interested to meet together to maybe talk about anxiety, which you just mentioned, that you together with some non-Christian friends, talk to us about that. In that way we'll kind of be a hybrid church, not only hybrid in the sense of we'll have online church plus in-person church. We will also have a funnel in strategy of assimilating, connecting people, but also a funnel out strategy of also making disciples in that way. Some staff changes, let me mention those. You may have seen in the program that Rebecca has resigned, and so we're missing her. She was involved in the area of connecting new people, of social media, doing some administration, and so we're missing her, and so you'll see that miss, particularly on our social media channels. She did some great reels. I remember the one, 18,000 views. I didn't think my sermon was that great, but she took a clip out of it and 18,000 people watched it. And so, Rebecca has resigned. Jenna, our Sunday night community dinner pastor, has also resigned. You might have seen that in the Monday email. She had a baby, has been on maternity leave, and we, of course, wish her well as a new mom. And so she's coming in Tuesday to see the staff and say goodbye. And I'll also have her at one of our community dinners and say goodbye to the folks there also. And Louisa, I may have mentioned this months ago, that in December she finished her schooling at Pacific Life Bible College, and so applied for a work visa. And so she's not able to work now, as we're praying and awaiting for this government visa to come through. Now she is going to continue, when it does come through, half-time with us in our kids ministry area, and then half-time with Young Life. And she'll be taking over some of the work that Jacob and Stephanie Wall are doing here in South Surrey. So we're looking forward to that partnership with Young Life, and awaiting eagerly, especially Chris is, for her to come back and to continue with us. And so yeah, that's with Louisa. Also Johnny, who is our youth director here, he is going to be leaving in Germany. Him and Andy are moving to Hamburg, and so he'll be back with his family there in Hamburg. They'll be staying with his sister, and then Johnny will be working for a year at a church there in Hamburg. And so that'll leave a gap in our youth ministry area. But I am very grateful for our hardworking staff here who are laboring, and continuing to help us push forward to be a disciple-making movement. Let me say a few things around community dinner, because I know we often get questions around community dinner. You saw in the pictures there some of the community dinner photos. We relaunched September 4th with community dinner, so we've been going about 7 months now. The last 4 Sundays, attendance has been 131, 85, 103, 108. So you see we're about at the 100 level. And so that's been gradually increasing. Since when we started in September. We have a core group of Gracepointers who come once or twice a month to meet here at 4 o'clock to pray and then to disperse ourselves and to eat with our dinner congregation. And I would invite any of you to join us in that. Donna did it last Sunday. Thank you. I sent Donna a thank you note and a Google document and said, if you want to do this once a month, we'd love to have you do that. And so, any of you that want to do that, you can join Donna and Barry and Archie and Sue and Ron and Kelly, John and Dorothy Howitt, who do that. And so that's our dinner team here. Then we also have, obviously, our kitchen teams. I see Steve over there, who's taken leadership of one of the teams, did a great job here a couple Sundays ago. And so we've got 9 dinner teams that are in rotation in the kitchen. You heard some of the testimonies, those of you who are here for Raise Your Spoon, or we sent them out on the Monday email in terms of, why people come to the dinner and how they found out about the dinner. We have new people coming to the dinner. I've been using a lot of language around spiritual family with our Sunday night congregation, that we are a spiritual family gathering together. And even though our numbers are lower than pre-COVID, in some ways it feels more like a family when we're eating together now, 100 people together. People are lingering longer. I'd say we have more people for prayer and that sort of thing and conversation. And so that's been a good thing. And it's a great work. I mean, I was sitting over here 2 Sundays ago and sitting beside a fellow, and he's lived the last 5 years in his vehicle. And he used to have a business, down in America, and was married at one point, and has fallen on hard times. And so it's great to provide a meal, and it's great to provide spiritual food also. In fact, you and your son, you're going to be singing here, right?
Yep, we're going to let her rip.
Yep. That's
April
awesome.
30th.
Yeah, oh, thank you. That's great. So anyways, in the interest of time, let's keep moving.
Yep.
Stefan, who's not here, he's on a holiday in Europe, and so he came in and shot a video, and maybe we'll take a look at our financial report via video.
Hello, Gracepointers. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Stefan Luque, and I've been attending Gracepoint for the past 20 years. I'm currently in my last year on the leadership team and in my 6th and final year as your church treasurer. I would love to have been with you today at the town hall, but I'm currently out of the country visiting with some relatives. But now that we've finished our first quarter of the year, I'd like to give you a quick update on the 2022 financial position and where the church is 3 months into this new year. After 2 years of COVID and meeting our budget each year, we decided to be optimistic and raise the budget back up to the $900,000 level. We did this optimistically in an effort to try and move back toward our pre-COVID budget of $1 million. Well, no one anticipated a war breaking out and inflation hitting double digits. Although our revenues were short $55,000, we were only down a net $10,000 for the year, as we had various savings on the expense side totaling $45,000. The final 2022 reconciliation and financial statements are being worked on, and are usually ready for distribution by the end of May or beginning of June. So where does that leave us for 2023? Well, the Business and Finance Committee met back in the fall to set the budget for this year and collectively decided to be wise and conservative, reducing our budget back down to the $800,000 level. With interest rates on the rise and so much uncertainty in the markets, we thought it would be prudent to err on the safe side when trying to predict a revenue target for the year. As well, our mortgage interest rate with the conference has more than doubled, our insurance rates have doubled, and with all the snow we've had, our maintenance costs are up. As many churches have been struggling, the conference offered a year of interest-only payments on mortgages, which we thought wise to accept, giving us $60,000 in savings. Our current mortgage is now down to $875,000. We didn't want to make any reductions to staffing or programming, so we decided if our income was short, we would transfer the difference out of our healthy contingency fund. Now that I got the minor bad news out of the way, let's talk about the good news. Last year, after our first quarter, I reported that our giving was 7% behind. This year, we are off to a fantastic start with consistent weekly giving and are currently 11% ahead of our giving compared to last year. I think everyone would agree that Sunday morning services are starting to feel like they did pre-COVID, and there seems to be a general sense of optimism amongst the congregation. I know it's still early in the year and don't want to get too excited, but I want to take this opportunity to thank all the staff for being fiscally responsible and doing their part in keeping the church financially on track. I also want to thank all of the volunteers on the Business and Finance Committee and LT who have helped make the somewhat difficult decisions to keep our finances in order. So I'll pass it back over to Rick, and seeing I'm not with you, feel free to pepper him with any tough financial questions you have. I'm just kidding. If you do have questions, send Tracy an email and she'll be happy to pass them on to me. Thank you for all your generosity and have a great day.
Yeah.
He's a great fella.
Yeah.
Mark, you got big shoes to fill there.
Kaylee, could I ask you to come here and grab these 3x5 cards? If you have a question you'd like to write down, just stick your first name on there and a question. And likewise, Gord has a microphone he will bring around. And a question that came in, why don't I start with that? Ralph asked, I'd be interested to know if we have surveyed or reached out to past members, regular attendees that have not returned post-pandemic. If so, what were the reasons for not coming back? And do we know how many virtual members we have now? So thank you, Ralph, for that question. During the pandemic, we did care calling. Many of you were volunteers in that care calling as we called through our church directory. And now kind of post-pandemic, whatever that looks like, you know, we have followed up with people who haven't been here, and I've regularly asked the staff, who have you noticed who isn't here, or if we've noticed somebody not here, that we've followed up with them. Now, the question asked is, what were the reasons given for not attending or not coming back? How much time you got? There is a whole spectrum of reasons, you know? Everything from, we had in the pandemic, quite a number of people move, and so they've moved to other regions. We have had some people that have left our church. We've had some people who have had a shift in their thinking. We have had YouTube, you know, and so we have, you know, people watching online Sunday morning or Sunday evening throughout the week kind of thing. And in that way, we're not unique here at Gracepoint. Other people are experiencing that same shift also, you know, and that's happened in our society. So the question, how many virtual members we have on Sunday mornings concurrently with the service, we have about 40 live views. So there's 40 screens, you know, and I would say I know pretty well who those 40 screens are. In fact, I saw some of them yesterday at the funeral, you know, as we celebrated Ken's life here yesterday. Some people came back for that. Some people continue to serve in other areas. I gave a hug to one of our Sunday night community dinner kitchen people, you know, 2-3 weeks ago. She faithfully, her and her husband watch faithfully online in that way. And so, you know, we have people serving in that way. And like I said, it's a hybrid church in that sense. And so, yeah, that's that question.
I'll take this one.
Okay, sure.
Got some suggestions from Tom here. That's
Yes,
good.
yeah.
The Alpha course, a fellowship meal, Outreach Help, Night Shift Surrey. Yeah, they're a good organization. Prayer meetings and Bible studies. So thanks for the suggestions. We'll talk about those, and they're all valid and good suggestions. So that's great. We have another one there?
Yes, yeah. What was the Mennonite Conference survey done over COVID years? Did that skew the results? No, the results have been a long time for the Mennonite Brethren Conference. In fact, when I came 8 years ago, I think we talked about having like 120 or so churches in BC. Now we're talking 95 churches. You know, so that's a shrinkage of the number of churches in our conference. And so it's a long time period that has been covered. And so I think, yeah, the consultant is, looked at a bigger time frame. And like I said, now we're addressing that. He offered some fairly radical solutions, and I'm very curious if our conference will step up into that. Sometimes it's hard to shift, right? You're used to doing things a certain way. I mean, we feel it on Sunday morning in terms of our church, and for the MB as a whole also to shift in that way. Somebody asked the question, what's the difference between funnel out and outreach? We may not have read the book you did. Can you explain, please? So I'm using that language, funnel out, funnel in. It comes from Will Mancini, and so this idea of funneling in mean people who come in through the front doors of the church, how do we help them to connect? And that has been, for decades, the church strategy in North America. We're going to assimilate people in. Funnel out is more, okay, we are going out. Where do I live? The neighborhood I live. How do I make disciples in that area? So to the question, is it related to outreach? Definitely. But it's more than outreach. It is disciple making. In whether it's the neighborhood I live, the people I interact with, let's say in tennis, or some of the business gatherings that I go to. The other night I was at the Newton BIA. In the connections I'm making, that, we in a sense don't separate outreach from disciple making, that it all goes together. The same way we don't separate belief, the last song that we talked about, believing, we don't separate belief from belonging. And often people more looking for belonging in our society now, as opposed to believing, and the believing follows afterwards.
I'm amazed too how many people find us online. It's crazy. I meet new people all the time. Oh, how did you find us? Oh, I found your website. Oh my goodness. Or we Googled the directions to the nearest local church, and here they come. So the website is a great tool to connect people. So any other questions?
Any other questions? Gord has the microphone there. If you'd like to just say your first name and if you have a question. Yep. Okay. Oh, did you answer Tom's, or he had some suggestions there, right? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Tom. I will take a look at those. Yeah.
How would I get involved with helping with picking numbers for the tables at the community dinner?
Wow. Okay. Sorry, Tom, you're asking about like calling the numbers or picking the numbers. Okay. Yeah. As you may have noticed, we usually have Karina do that. But, you and I can maybe chat afterwards, and we can look at maybe incorporating some other people in that. And like I said, we have a prayer team that meets at 4 o'clock to pray. So maybe what I'd like you to do, Tom, is start by coming 4 o'clock, join us for prayer, and then we can look at whether it's calling numbers or other leadership roles that we need at the dinner also. So thanks for that, and thanks for offering. Any other questions? Gord's got the mic there. If not, some of you may want to ask one-on-one. Linda and I can hang out here and can answer your questions.
Just the fact, I think, that there's, how many do we have here? 150 maybe, 175 people? Just the fact that we have such a big crowd stay back for this,
yes.
That's excellent.
I know. I'm very encouraged by that. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah.
Give yourselves a hand there.
It shows that we really are a church family. And we're not a team, we're not a club, we are a family. We're the family of God. So it's good that you have interest in being a good steward of what God has given us in this place,
yes.
in this ministry. Any other questions? We don't want to keep you too long here. So if there's no other questions,
Yeah, feel free afterwards to come and speak with us. So thank you for staying back. Thank you for calling Gracepoint Church your church family. Like you said, we are a family. That's biblical language. And so we want to see each other as brothers and sisters, and follow God on the mission he has for us. So thank you so much for taking the time.
amen. Have a great day, everybody.